Oh, great. Okay. I'm totally muted.
We're good.
Okay, we're all good?
How about you, Lynn?
Okay, welcome, everybody. This is the October 20th, 2025 Parks and Environment Committee meeting for Manhattan Community Board 7. Before we get any further, I'm making a motion to adopt the agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right, great. So a few things, as many of you know, Natasha Cosme, our amazing former co-chair, has exited her role due to term limits, and she is now the co-chair of the Business and Consumer Issues Committee. We have Barbara Adler, who is now co-chair. What you may not know is this is the third time that Barbara has co-chaired this committee. She brings with her relationships, information, knowledge, just extensive background in all the issues that we have discussed this past few years. And so we are grateful that she is able to kind of be the co-chair of this committee. So thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and with the whole committee. And it's nice to be back here. Thank you. Not that I ever left the committee.
Over there. It's like to be over there.
I know, you're moving around the table.
Exactly.
So Barbara and I wanted to wish everybody a happy Diwali. We know that this is a special day for many people who celebrate this holiday. So thank you for joining us today. We know you didn't have to, but you did. So thank you. On our agenda, we have today one presentation from Parks, NYC Parks. The agenda item will not need a resolution. This presentation is related to the Riverside Park drinking fountains reconstruction. And we have colleagues from the Parks Department. I believe we have Margaret Bracken online and a few of her colleagues, and they will present the reconstruction plans. Just after this presentation, and so after the questions, I just wanted to make sure that you guys stuck around for new business, because we also had a few things under new business that we'd like to discuss with you too. All right, Margaret.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm here with my colleagues Hayden and Gordon Shum from Parks Department Engineering to show you the design for the installation of two new drinking fountains at two different locations in Riverside Park. As with many things in Riverside Park, we're very grateful to Councilmember Gail Brewer for this funding, and it's also an initiative that was voted on by the community as part of the participatory budget initiative. So I'll turn it over to Gordon to talk you through his design for the installation of these drinking fountains.
All right, thanks, Margaret. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. Can everyone see it?
Yep.
That's fine. All right. So I'm Gordon Shum. I'll be presenting Riverside Park drinking fountains reconstruction. The project will be located in Riverside Park in two locations, one in West 96th Street and one in West 76th Street in the borough of Manhattan. And I'm the Parks project manager. And the total budget was $375K from Gail Brewer. So for the project scope, the community voted to allocate funding for new drinking fountains in Riverside Park through Councilmember Brewer's participatory budgeting process. A non-working drinking fountain and an outdated one will be replaced with a state-of-the-art ADA compliant fountains in two locations of the park, two key locations of the park. And they will require backflow prevention devices for DEP compliance to protect the water supply. And here is the aerial of West 96th Street. So located along the Hudson River. And since we're located by the Hudson River, it is prone to flood risk. And for the surrounding land use, it is surrounded by residential and mixed-use areas. And here's the tree inventory of West 96th Street, and we will not be removing any trees in the area. And this existing conditions diagram, as shown, the blue dots represented. You can see in the middle of the screen is the existing drinking fountain that we'll be replacing, which has nearby lawn and asphalt pathways with the Hudson River to the west of it and clay tennis courts to the south. And further east is the parking lot. And here's the existing conditions photos of the site. The photo on the left, which was a picture taken right after it's been vandalized. As you can see, it's quite a bit of damage to it, so it needs to be replaced. And the photo on the right is the proposed location of the RPZ enclosure. And here's the proposed work. On the right side, we'll be making connection to the New York City water main, which will be installing the RPZ box to protect the city's water supply and running the water service through the parking lot, through the trees, and down back to the existing drinking fountain that we will replace. And here's the proposed drinking fountain that we will be installing, which has dual bowls that are fully ADA compliant, with an upper bowl for people with issues with limited bending and a lower bowl for wheelchair access. And the stainless steel bowls have corrosion resistance. And here's a example of a RPZ enclosure that we'll be installing. And these are the proposed plans for screening of the RPZ enclosure. And here are the perspective renderings of the drinking fountain with the photo on the left hand side, just replacing the existing location of the drinking fountain. And the photo on the right is the RPZ enclosure with the proposed plant screenings. And moving on to West 76th Street, it's also located in Riverside Park and along the Hudson River. And since it's located along the Hudson River, it's also in a flood zone area. And for the surrounding land use, it's surrounded by residential and mixed-use buildings. And here's the tree inventory for West 76th Street, and we will not be removing any trees. And for the existing conditions diagram, you can see the blue dot is the existing drinking fountain with a Parks M&O building to the south. And there's a baseball field and asphalt pathways around the drinking fountain. And the photo on the left is the existing drinking fountain that we will be replacing. As you can see, it's very old and outdated. And the photo on the right is the proposed location of where we'll be installing the RPZ within the park staff break room of the M&O building. And here's the proposed work for the West 76th Street location, which all we will be doing is installing, replacing the existing outdated drinking fountain and working within the M&O building. And again, we'll be installing the Type E drinking fountain with dual bowls that are fully ADA compliant and with an upper bowl for limited bending and lower bowl for wheelchair access. And here's the perspective rendering the drinking fountain on the left and the perspective rendering of the RBZ within the park's staff break room. And that's it. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, good.
Hi, Gordon. This is Cynthia from Councilmember Brewer's office. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. I have a couple of questions. Can you explain what happened to the proposal for water bottle filling station? Because we had actually spoken about that with your team prior when we were first proposing this project.
So we had a directive from the front office, and they've been having issues with the bottle filler. With the bottle fillers that we've been installing. So we've been told to go ahead with the Type E drinking fountains instead, since they're more reliable.
I think there were problems with the mechanics of the bottle filler. We've installed them in, a few locations in Riverside Park and other locations citywide. And it appears that there was a decision made that there were enough issues with, these existing bottle fillers that we, should stop installing them for a little while. This Type E drinking fountain we have at other locations in the park, and it's not the same as having a bottle filler, but you can fill a bottle from this. And it is also, as Gordon mentioned, ADA accessible and open to, for everyone to use, kids, adults. So we felt that this one was pretty universal.
Okay, and what about the pet component? Originally, we talked about having something on the ground for animals.
I don't remember ever talking about a dog bowl. We've actually found that dog owners really don't like the ones with the dog bowl because you can end up, they weren't draining properly, and there was a lot of kind of water sitting in the dog bowls, for an extended period, and they weren't really using them. So, I have found in the park, I see most dog owners will actually carry a little kind of collapsible bowl with them, and they fill it from the, various drinking fountains. So we're not planning to install any drinking fountains with dog bowls, moving forward in the park.
Okay, that's fair. And do you think you can go over the budget, please, for $375,000 for these two fountains?
I guess I don't have a slide for that, but I guess going off of these drawings, fencing is a big cost for this location, since we'll have to be taking quite a bit of space in the parking lot and restricting access to the public, and having to excavate down through this landscape and through the tree root zones, which requires a more careful type of excavation and is a little bit more costly. And the RPZ box as well is an added cost. And for West 76th Street, installing the drinking fountain with a new line running from the building, and working within the building, having to install the RPZ along with a water meter. And since it's an existing building, we'll have to do environmental testing as well, and that's a bit of a cost as well.
So I think to sort of expand on what Gordon said, the bulk of the cost for both of these new installations is meeting current DEP requirements. I mean, as you can tell from the condition of both of these drinking fountains, they are 90 years old. They're Moses era drinking fountains. So the infrastructure for those drinking fountains is totally outdated. So now when we install, new drinking fountains in the park, we have to do the RPZ, which is a backflow prevention device to prevent, water sort of backing into the city system. And something that sounds as simple as installing a drinking fountain actually is a pretty expensive endeavor, especially in the location on the left-hand side that you see where there's a lot of hand excavation. That blue line is half of it is hand excavation trenching through existing trees, because we always proceed with caution, when we're working around existing trees. And also, to add to this, the 375,000 isn't our total construction budget, because as you're aware, we have design, construction, and contingency. So that significantly reduces the actual number that we have for construction.
Excellent. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Anyone else have a question? Sure. Go ahead.
John Schochet, I'm a member of the committee. I'm still not understanding that, I realize you have to bring 90-year-old water fountains into compliance and you can't just swap out the old one for the new one, but the water for the old one came from somewhere. Why do they have to dig an entire new trench across a parking lot and through sensitive trees, bring water to a place that water had previously been brought to?
Yeah, so yeah, as Marco was saying, these lines are 90 years old, and with the parks directives these days, any lines that are, about that old, we all have to replace anyway. So just
Does this follow the path of the 90-year-old pipe?
yeah, unfortunately we couldn't find any records of that pipe, so
Okay.
hard to tell where
So
that path is.
The old pipe comes from somewhere mysterious and you're building a new one and decommissioning the old one?
Correct.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
completely new installation with, as I said, the backflow prevention device. I mean, this is where the water is. I mean, our water line runs north-south along at some points, the eastern side of the Henry Hudson Parkway, some points the western side. So we're always, connecting to that existing line.
Okay. And it looks like the 76th Street one is next to a bathroom, so I assume water's closer. Does the 96th Street one, would that new pipe serve any water purpose other than this new water fountain?
Potentially, yes. I mean, both of these are enormously beneficial for this particular area of the park. I mean, in terms of the location of both of these installations, they're right next to the Greenway, they're right next to the waterfront esplanade. So those are very heavily trafficked areas of the park. And they're also adjacent to areas of active recreation. So the drinking fountains themselves are sort of really placed for kind of maximum public usage. But the bigger picture there is, installing a new water line into the park, I mean, clearly has potential benefits for, enhancing other features in the area, not part of this project, but, it's of benefit to the larger park.
Okay, and then my other question was along the water bottle filler piece. As an attender of Little League games near an old style water fountain that does not have a bottle filler, and a water bottle user, like I'm sympathetic to the desire to have that. What exactly is the problem with those? And is Parks actively trying to figure out a solution to have functional outdoor ones that work better? Because it seems like a pretty useful thing given the way most people use water fountains.
Hi, I'm going to jump in on that point. This is John Harold. I'm the Riverside Park Administrator. We have eagerly installed these bottle filler fountains in several places in the park. And I can attest that they just aren't up to the job. They leak, or the valves break, or they don't turn on. They're just not. They're not up to the job, unfortunately. I can't speak to it, but I am quite sure that Parks is looking for an alternative, because Parks very much is in favor of people using bottles instead of bottled water. But at the moment, Gordon doesn't have one that he can spec in.
Yeah, I guess I'm not shocked. Most of the time those are inside, and outdoor ones, I don't know that I've seen large numbers of those, but I'm surprised one doesn't exist, but I believe that too.
Anyone else from the committee who has a question? No? Is there anyone online?
I have a question, sorry.
Oh, sure, okay, go ahead.
Did you tell us anything about a time frame for this?
project. Or could you? Gordon, you're on the other.
Oh, sorry. Time frame. So the design should be finished by March of next year, and then it'll be a year of procurement. Then should be getting into construction right then. So I think 2027, right? Is that right, Heidi?
Yeah, so the design should end like spring 2026. So construction will be around spring or summer 2027.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Any other
Thanks.
questions from anybody or any of the attendees? If you have a question, could you raise your hand, please? No? I had a question and Cynthia asked both halves of it about dogs and about bottles.
Yeah.
So,
I actually had a
yeah,
question.
sure, go.
So where does the water flow to after it gets there? Because it's an RPZ on one end. Is there like a way to distribute it? Because it looks like there's already some flooding there. Is there what are you doing some changes around the trees beneath that to distribute the water? What's your goal there?
There's a drain in the bottom of those bowls. I mean, if there is standing water beside either of the two existing installations, I'm not sure what would be causing that. But in the case of the Type E that we're proposing to install, there's actually a drain in the bottom of the bowl there. So none other than a little bit of splashing, there should be no water, that's sort of.
And that just flows back into the area, is that right? It just flows back into the plants and stuff, is that?
There's a drain.
Oh, the drain that goes out.
There's a dry
Okay.
well underneath the adjacent to the drinking fountains.
Sorry, there's an existing dry well or?
The part of I'll let Heidi and Gordon speak to this, but part of our installation when we put drinking fountains in is that there's typically in a dry well adjacent, but Heidi and Gordon can better respond than me.
Yeah, so typically we will have like a 4-inch pipe coming out of the drinking fountain, and then we install a broken stone dry well, usually in a planted area adjacent to the drinking fountain, and then that's where it will drain.
And I've never seen any problems with that not working in our typical drinking fountain installations. It seems to be pretty effective.
Great. And then after this, you're bringing this before the LPC. Is that right? That's the time frame with this project? After this meeting today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I've got one more quick
Oh,
question.
okay, sure.
Sorry, I didn't ask this before. I know you showed a picture that at least the 96th Street one had been vandalized before. Are these things reasonably vandalism resistant? Has that been taken into account?
I don't know that 96 was vandalized. I suspect it was hit by a vehicle.
Oh, okay. Like a city vehicle or an e-bike or?
Well, I'm only speculating, but it could very well be the result of some sort of vehicle, which presumably would be a city vehicle, hopefully, hitting it. Yes.
Perhaps the Parks Department.
No, not only the Parks Department, but let's just say the city.
NYPD.
Yeah.
Park Enforcement Patrol.
So you're saying that's not going to be an issue going forward?
No.
Definitely.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, if you figure that one had been there for 90 years without this happening, so fingers crossed. And the Type E is pretty sturdy. The concrete ones are more prone to damage. I think the Type E is more substantial, but let's assume it's not going to happen again in another 90 years.
Hope so.
Yeah. well said.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And good luck with the project. We look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, sure.
On the West 76th and West 96th Street. So thank you for coming today.
We're still alive. Great. Oh, of course.
Is there anybody here who has new business? Okay,
Start for
then
the evening.
we have some new business.
Yeah, so we do.
Okay. So a couple of things.
Are you done with us? Were we were
We are, Mark.
okay.
So much.
Good.
Thank you so
All right,
much for
thank
coming.
you guys.
Good night, everyone.
Great night.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
So Daria and I discussed the fact that we would like to have and address more proactive issues with this committee, rather than just the resolutions that Parks or the Conservancy are looking for from us. So with that in mind, we are going to send you an email and ask if you have something that you would like to talk about at this committee, please email us back. You don't have to, if you don't have anything right away, it doesn't matter. But if you do, we really would like your participation in this. Okay, any questions about that? The second thing is that, I don't know if anybody saw, but there was, an article in the West Side Rag about, danger signs that had been put into grates in Riverside Park. And it turns out that they belong to Amtrak. And nobody from Parks who had been consulted, Riverside Park, that is, knows why those danger signs are there. And of course, people were very concerned that can kids run over them? Can dogs run over them? And how harmful are they and why did they say danger? So I reached out to Andrew Albert, whom you know is our colleague on this board, and he sits on the MTA board. And Andrew said he'd get back to me Wednesday with an answer. He was meeting with somebody from the MTA, said he'd try to find an answer for us, so.
But if they're Amtrak, MTA has nothing to do with our jurisdiction.
Excuse me?
If
He was meeting from somebody from Amtrak to find out about this.
well, if they're working this week.
He was
Yeah,
meeting with
people are
Andy
gonna try to-
Byford, so one of the
Yeah.
major people
Yeah.
from there, so I, okay, all right, so we'll
Wait, so
see what
are
happens.
these on the promenade above the trains? Is that what you mean?
And that's great.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to picture
yes.
where these are.
I don't, I have not seen them myself. It was a picture
Okay.
in the West Side Rag,
I can
it
look
was
on the
a few
website.
days ago. I'm sure you can find it. The other thing is that in the interest of speeding up our full board meetings, Daria and I decided that we're no longer going to go through the entire presentation before a resolution. Anybody in the committee who misses the meeting for one reason or another can watch the YouTube, can get the presentation online because they are always posted now on our own web.
Committee, but I know preservation has had a similar discussion.
Ah,
And basically, those of us who aren't on the specific committee can't attend every committee meeting, but some of us do have things to contribute to these. So while you might be there, I'm assuming that the office staff can put those on the
they are, they
full
have been
presentation.
posting them now. You just have to look under projects, I believe. On our website, on shared with me, on the documents that we have, right, Alex?
Is that what you're asking for, the
concurrent with the
presentation?
agenda.
They're all there.
I haven't, sorry, I haven't.
They're all
sorry.
there,
Yeah.
and if you can't find something, if you do a search, you'll get it right away, which is how I got the water fountain presentation. And then lastly, the e-bikes in Central Park seem to be a really growing crisis. With people and children who are trying to cross the roads, it's taken away the enjoyment of being in the park and crossing the roads. And we thought that we would just do a straw poll right now. Straw poll, doesn't really count for anything. It's just for us to get an idea, the committee to get an idea of how many people feel that the e-bikes are really treacherous and dangerous. We're talking about in the park. So,
And when we say the e-bikes,
Yeah,
we're
what is
talking about the
e-bike?
commercial bikes
No.
specifically or
Yeah.
recreational ones?
well,
Right,
the
the city
recreational
bikes.
ones
This is
too that
different.
are in the park.
It's the city bikes that are electronic, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, some of them are electronics.
Yeah.
We also have
Sure.
Yeah, or I might distinguish it between,
commercial
Are you
versus.
talking
or no,
about
even
e-bikes?
e-bikes that are going the speed that normal pedal bikes typically go
Mhm.
versus e-bikes that are going faster than that.
Well, the problem
Would
is
be-
that
yeah.
the Central Park Conservancy put burlap bags over all the traffic signals. So there are no traffic signals
Yeah.
anymore when you're crossing a road. And I have watched kids, little kids and their parents and terrified. I mean, it reminded me frankly, being in Vietnam, where, you just take your
Yeah.
life in your hands and you just go and you hope that they're gonna stop for you because they don't stop for you. And if you're out on a sunny day and it's crowded in the park, like on a weekend, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, we just wanted to know how many of you are aware of that and how many would like to take this up as an issue.
Right, so just to kind of rephrase it, maybe even instead of saying like, take a straw poll of something that we believe is treacherous, et cetera, just say like, do you think that this is an issue we as a committee can take up and discuss in further detail with additional participants in this? Can we do a straw poll around that?
Sure,
instead
let's
of
do that, sure,
having an opinion one way or the other?
let's do that.
Okay, Lottie, did you have a question? or-
No, I just said, she said, we could take it on, I said, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so anyone else who agrees
you.
with Lottie? Do you have a feeling
I think it's
about
worth
this?
the discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think it's worth a discussion. I think it's obviously a very tricky subject.
Yeah.
And you have to be very specific about what you're saying, even there, the e-bikes, bikes, et cetera.
Commercial
And to
legislation.
the burlap bag conversation, there was a West Side Red article where Gail Brewer said, that it's as intended. The idea was to remove the green light, red light to make everyone be more aware. To your feedback, I don't think it's having a desired effect, but anyway, I agree it should be taken up, but I think you have to be, as you know, very.
It might be a joint
Specific.
commission, it
It's
might be a
very
joint
tricky.
Agreed.
issue too, because
Yeah.
it is
Yeah, sure.
It's transportation.
Yeah,
It's DOT that
Right.
runs that part of the park.
Right.
yeah, I mean, and it flows between the park and the streets. Like I was crossing Amsterdam to take my daughter to school this morning.
Mhm.
And I had a light and a walk signal, and I stepped into the bike lane and a
Mhm.
woman on a city bike went blowing through the
Right.
intersection and I had to pull back. Wasn't in a park, I don't know that she was even speeding. I mean, she could have done that on a pedal bike. So broadly speaking, I would say that the norms around bikes following safe traffic rules
Mhm.
Mhm.
could use some readjustment. I don't know that that issue is specific to e-bikes or parks, but elements of the problems.
Yeah,
are
and
there.
there's a lot of legislation that has been
Yeah,
I was
introduced.
gonna say, yeah.
Oh, yeah, has been introduced. And so I think one of the things we can do is just kind of take a look and discuss some of the legislation to see
Correct.
what the desired effects are and whether or not this is something that we can explore a little bit more as a committee. But I think it is worth all of us kind of not even just talking about it right now here, but kind of bringing more
Right,
information to here before we can have a real
Mhm,
discussion, because this is not where we're gonna have a discussion
agree.
today. Right?
I just want to say
Yeah.
one more thing regarding that, and that is that about a month ago, I was at the 20. I would say Doug was there. Every single person in that room said, the horses are not the problem, the e-bikes are the problem, and it was an incredible meeting, but it ended and there was no feedback from it, nothing happened. So I think, we need to have a conversation eventually with the
Yeah.
Conservancy about this.
May I say, I'm not
Yeah,
on this
sure,
committee, but I am
sure.
on transportation. I was at the meeting. Yeah, I mean, it's
Welcome
one of,
back,
the
yeah.
e-bike issue is one of the most spoken about issues. In fact, I was at the street fair yesterday and the borough president was tabling and a constituent came and said, can I talk about this? And she's like, I said, it's a highly discussed and polarizing topic. I do think we really need to get the facts. Like when we see e-bikes, defines a lot of things because there is an electronic element to a pedal assist bike and there's city bike and then there's privately owned bike. So we really should define what they are. We do a lot of that in the transportation committee. Understanding what the regulations are as far as the state regs, and every vehicle is classified in a different way. So I think, information is what you need, and it's definitely a subject matter that people are talking about.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, like, I agree with that. I also agree with what Alex said about how, we need to be careful about how we phrase that. It is easy to shorthand it as e-bikes, in my mind, the problem is vehicles, which are often e-bikes, probably more e-bikes than other things, but not exclusively, going through red lights and going too fast and not yielding to pedestrians, that can be done by a car, it can be done by a motor scooter, it can be done by a regular pedaled bike. I would say that in
Vehicle, runs a red light, they get a big fat ticket,
yeah, right.
right?
Yeah,
So
enforcement's an issue.
bikes
Yeah.
Run people over, they do whatever they do, and there's there's nothing happens.
Well, there's rarely,
Which is
a penalty.
why
They
the
don't have
folks-
license plates, they can't get camera tickets.
Right,
Yeah,
so
right.
then maybe
Yeah.
that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
License plates on all bicycles.
Yeah.
That's some of the legislation
No,
that's being
I'm aware of
proposed,
that,
yeah.
Yeah,
Audrey, go ahead.
Yes, since our new chair is here, we can actually talk about, not at the meeting, but just in an abbreviated way. This is a big problem everywhere. Every time I go in the street, I have to go right, left, right, left. I don't know, no matter whether it's an uptown or a downtown lane, where people are going to come from. It's very, very scary.
And I think the young man heard it.
Yeah, hi. So I just want to really quickly to refer back to the point, in Central Park. I feel like a large issue with the Central Park bikes is that now all the bikes have the right of way. And also with this redesign, they carved the street like the bikes have the right of way. But also, each bike and pedestrians have their own specific lane on the road and nobody is following the lane orders whatsoever. I've seen like fast commercial e-bikes swerve in and out of the pedestrian lanes. The same way I've seen pedal bikes go into the fast bike lane, etc. And also the horses too, they have nowhere to go. So they're stuck either in the fast bike lane or the slow bike lane. And then also the city vehicles have nowhere to go, and that's also causing issues for these bikers. Which is also as my mother said here, it's hard for pedestrians to cross the street.
Yeah.
I've tried crossing the street in Central Park, it's not fun.
Should we
Um, including where there's like a little pedestrian refuge island in the pedestrian lane. Even if you walk in that, there's still a threat that there's gonna be a bike speeding right in front of you, right behind you.
I have a question. So if you were us, what would you want us to do? Tell us what you want us to do.
I've never been to one of these meetings, so
So
Do you-
come
do you-
back, think about it and come back.
I'll come back.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm Blake Epstein.
Okay.
I'm 14, but I do want to become more active within the neighborhood. So I want to start coming to more of these meetings, especially like transportation, parks and environments, because those are
Tell me the word.
topics I'm more passionate about. I want to go into urban planning as a profession, like a civil engineer urban planning thing. And maybe one day I'll run for city council, because I'm becoming a lot more.
That's
Right.
fantastic.
We're very impressed. Thanks for
Thank you for
joining
being
us.
here
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you.
You're welcome anytime. Okay, so we will take this issue
Yeah.
up. It sounds like people really want to take this issue up,
but
but
possibly in
not tonight.
conjunction with transportation. and public
Absolutely.
safety.
into-
Right,
absolutely
yeah,
into
exactly,
conjunction, I
right.
think.
Can I just ask,
Yeah,
so it was originally brought up because of the Central Park line, that's definitely within our bailiwick, right? And that might be an advantage to sort of say, that's what we're talking about, so that we don't draw the full pro and anti e-bike attention. If we're, I'm asking, is this intended to be strictly speaking about Central Park bike lane? Because that's smack dab what we're supposed to be talking about.
We've spent a huge amount of time over the last few years talking about bikes, e-bikes, commercial bikes. I think the only thing we spent more time on might be parking spaces.
I mean, I think to Hayden's point, like, if you say it has to be about with transportation and it's encompasses all parks and outside of the park, then you're suddenly gonna be in a big, then it's gonna be a huge, much bigger meeting, and what is your possible resolution gonna say? That we haven't said in other ones, whereas if you constrain it to your point, maybe to just like, you just did a redesign of the Central Park.
Right.
Yeah. A bunch of people think the redesign is extremely poorly implemented.
Yes.
Here's some facts we have about how people feel like it's very poorly implemented. That, for instance, I would say you maybe don't even include transportation, and that could make it more palatable. I don't know, it's a strategic question that you have to decide.
Can I
We
just
would
respond?
have to
The
include it.
problem is, I'm sorry, when we were at the Central Park precinct, the Conservancy says that that's DOT, and the DOT says, well, it's a conservancy.
Yeah.
The problem is that without a doubt, the road is DOT, right? And so I appreciate what you just said, like, we don't want to make this whole, I'll use a term, a Megillah, like a huge thing.
Right.
But I have a feeling that, if you're talking about stuff that's related to DOT, they're gonna say, well, Colleen has to opine on that. And then are we leaving out our transportation committee?
I mean,
But your point's well taken.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. We have to include transportation because a lot of the regulations and all the stuff around it is transportation related. Ours is only from the perspective of how it impacts the park users.
I'm just thinking that it would be more manageable and probably productive conversation if we keep it focused to this one road in the park that everyone in New York is in some way familiar with and is impacted in. And as Alex said, as the young man said, like the redesign is not serving all users, and that's a discrete issue that we can keep ourselves.
I think it's a great suggestion.
I agree with you, Hayden, and I think we can start here and then we can broaden it after we solve this problem.
So
it's not a joint meeting?
Solve. Well, okay, so.
It's not a joint meeting subject only to the confines in the park, not to discuss anything outside of the park.
Yeah, well, there's a jurisdictional thing to sort out that maybe, I don't know, like this, there's a committee question and there's a city department question. We are responsible for the park user experience, which in my mind would include the roadway in Central Park that doesn't have cars on it.
Yeah.
If we go get parks and they say, well, it's a DOT problem, we can't do anything about it, that would be irritating to us, but that could be solved by having, if we need transportation, the city department, as opposed to transportation, the committee, for something that I think the common person would regard as a parks issue, even if in city legalese would be a transportation issue. I don't know that we need to make this a multi-committee issue. We just need to make sure that the right city representatives are there in order to be able to talk about it.
When we had the drives, like presentations specific to Central Park, we also invited transportation. And so I do think it's very important for everybody to be involved with the same conversation because they also bring expertise and just relationships and all this other stuff. I think it's more helpful. And I don't think there's a reason for us to exclude it because it is a DOT road. Go ahead.
Is there a way to not just include Central Park, but include any and all parks in our
It
jurisdiction?
needs to be Riverside as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to say just Riverside, but like.
Well, within CB7.
Within,
Yeah.
any and all parks within CB7,
Agreed.
because I don't think it's an isolated concern.
Right.
Or an isolated matter, for just CPW.
So Lottie, I completely agree that it's not an isolated concern. We all use Riverside Park. Morningside Park isn't in our CB, but I'm right there. So it sticks in my head too. I'm just trying to make it be a manageable thing where we can actually have something that doesn't just devolve into the standard e-bikes versus non-e-bikes versus the companies or whatever. Like this is a Central Park. It is a problem everywhere, but Central Park is at least a discrete area. That's
So
my
I
own
think,
pitch.
yeah, so I think that the problem is are we discussing e-bikes in parks? Or are we talking about the Central Park Drive
Yes, that's
and the
the
way that it's currently
Well, why do we have to
executed?
separate it?
Because one of them is very discreet, as Hayden was saying, and we can talk to and see if there's a solution around that one. The other one is a broader issue that goes across, basically the entire city. So if we want to do something that's very discreet, this is the way to do. If we want to do something broader, then we would be saying like all the parks including Theodore Roosevelt, parks including blah, blah, this and that, all the parks within. So that's the difference.
And let me just, there's one real concrete example. The longest park in our entire community board is the Broadway Malls. Which most of us don't think is a park, but it is. It's a very important park. It's maintained by the Parks Department, by the Broadway Malls Association. And of course, there's a million e-bikes in there. And those issues are just very, very, very different from like.
Something on it inside the malls.
You had a comment.
Right, there are
What-
traffic
we-
lights.
We do want to wrap this up,
Yeah,
because I know that this is something, so if you guys can get your final comments in, but go
Right,
ahead.
okay, I mean, last thing I'll say on this, I am persuaded that separating the issue of regular city streets that have cars on them is different than parks.
I was talking about Riverside Park.
Yeah, then, right, but I agree that the river path at Riverside Park is, arguably similar. It's
Yeah.
smaller, it's
Sure.
designed differently, but the same issue with pedestrians and fast moving bikes occurs, and there are no cars. So it's a similar, except the odd city vehicle, but it's a
Mhm.
similar issue.
Okay.
And no traffic lights.
And
So
my,
we are gonna
my
follow-
suggestion would be to, confine our topic of discussion to e-bikes in the parks in our area, but to invite transportation to come if they would like to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be
What
fine
do you,
with that
what do you,
too.
what is it? What
Is
is the
that,
chair?
is that good with the committee?
And
Great.
make sure the relevant city authorities are there.
We
so that
always
they
try our
don't-
best to
course.
get all the authorities, whether or not they come, it depends on their schedule.
Yeah.
Colleen
So
would be.
we always try.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other new business? I have something under old business, and that's essentially an update on River Run. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a lot of community input related to this redesign. And Parks came back and basically said they're still going through a lot of the comments. And they need a little bit more time to incorporate these comments and go through them. So they could return this month, possibly next month. We're not sure, maybe not. So once there is an update, the update will show up on the website, on the CB7 website, and we will also, make sure all the elected officials know, and they can send it out in their newsletters. Parks is taking the feedback very seriously, and they are going through these comments very diligently. So,
Samantha online has a question. Want to go ahead?
It's not a question, but it's a comment about, River Run problem.
Okay.
sure.
So my name's Heather, and I'm here again to to object against what the Parks Department is trying to do. I've lived on the Upper West Side my whole life, and I go to school at PS 87. I've been going to River Run since I was little. I played with my sibling, and I go with my friends, and I go with my friend every other Friday or Monday. If you just sit down and look at the river, you can see birds playing and drinking, kids making a bridge, and playing with siblings and friends. Heck, it doesn't have to be kids. It can be adults and even teenagers. My point is, we can't take River Run away. It's a home and a place to have fun for a lot of people in our community. Also, if the Parks Department is going to come to the meeting, but then not say anything about that topic, I think they should at least say something or say why they're not going to talk about it.
I do think they have every intention of coming. They just have to consult a lot of people, including the Department of Environmental Protection. It gets more complicated than really meets the eye. But I know that they'll be back, and they know that were a lot of concerns in the community about eliminating the river from River Run. So they will be back, Samantha, promise.
Oh, Heather,
Heather.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have new business.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
No,
Hold on, let me
sorry.
just say, so Heather, when they do come back, we hope that you come and join us again to talk through this, but
Oh,
before.
I'm sorry, it's Heather. I'm sorry, Samantha. It's not Samantha, it's Heather.
But one of the things is we'll make sure that your comment is gonna be seen and heard by the Parks Department, and we really, really appreciate you coming out tonight and making your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Can we do outreach to the two schools that particularly use River Run next time Parks comes?
We can talk about it. What do you mean by outreach? Do you want to
Making sure they
get?
know that this is happening.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Why not?
we can ask maybe like the community, we can ask like, maybe
We know
Alex
how
or
to- we know
Jesse
who
to
to
reach out
ask,
to,
but-
yeah.
I mean,
But
PS
basically, if
87,
the-
PS 89, so 9 live in the park.
Usually what happens is I think that this information is disseminated through PTAs or
I
PAs
understand, I
versus
used
through
to
the
be
school.
PTA president
So-
in my school.
I was too, yeah.
Yeah. Which
So,
school?
what?
Which school?
166.
Okay, 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's usually disseminated that way, and
Right, so we have
typically
to
it
do
tends
the
to
out-
be
And the
disseminated, but we
parent
will.
coordinator and
Yeah.
whatnot, but we really ought to do that, because those are the people who, I mean, granted, they'll all be grown up by the time that the project is done. But maybe they have younger children, maybe they have younger brothers and
Yeah.
sisters.
Right.
No, it's a good point.
Well, also the private school sector utilizes the River Run, you know, Dwight, Trevor Day, you know, all those.
And the
Mary
preschools
Mel.
around the area, a lot of the preschools, Montessori schools
Columbia
too.
Prep. So it's not just the public schools,
Yeah, okay,
but the private and independent and Catholic.
we want as many kids as we can get here.
Is there an action item at the end of this? Is the board expected to pass a resolution expressing our view of the river?
Yeah.
Is that what's with the
So
Swally too? It's,
a little history, they did come at the end of August where we had a Zoom meeting that they presented a,
yeah, I was on that, Okay.
yeah, they presented their plans for a river run.
right.
There's some pushback from the community specifically about the river issue, as Alex, brought up initially in the meeting. And we ended up passing a resolution supporting it because they explained that they could not incorporate the river based on a bunch of regulations related to the DEP. But they've heard the comments. There's a lot of comments from the community. And they took the comments very seriously, and they have gone back to the drawing board just to take a look at some of the comments to see what they can do. But that's all we know. That's since then. And since then, we haven't had an update. We don't know what the plans are, but we're hoping. And for us, we consider it a good sign that they're taking these comments very seriously.
Okay, I have one question, because Gail's representative isn't here.
Yeah.
But in one of the local publications, Gail was saying that there was separate funding coming. So my concern is, since we just had a wonderful presentation on how dysfunctional parks procurement is, that they will get the playground finished, and then they will promptly shut down the rest station. And the other thing is that, once again, money, because everything seems to cost 10 times more than it should in parks. Hippo has a room that's used for community events. And I think that building at River Run has the capacity in terms of the space to do the same thing, and that'd be a very good amenity for the community.
I think
So-
that was, I think I remember as part of their presentation
But-
that community gathering space was very important to the
Yeah.
community, and it's something that we can continue to emphasize with them.
Thing, of course, is at Hippo, it's not heated, which presents a problem.
Yeah.
It becomes heated very quickly when you have 20 kids in there, so,
And all the Polish kids.
yeah.
Just to interject something, a few years ago, when Mark Levine was running the Parks Committee, he came down to the AIA, American Institute of Architects, to do a presentation and discussion. He asked us, how much does a rest station cost? And people started in 6 figures, and I was the first person to get into 7 figures, and there was no second person. And then he announced exactly what it cost. So there is, if anybody wasn't amazed at $375,000 for 2 drinking fountains.
Not gonna be 6 figures for a station.
No, it's not. I also, actually, the rest station at Annabelle Avalos Park was something that I followed for several years. And at the very end, when we were just ready to, well, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get too
Yeah.
off track here.
But I just
Yeah,
want to get over the
I
track.
just,
Is it
just,
park
it's very
split?
expensive, yeah,
2 weeks before
yeah.
we were ready. Works if you haven't noticed in this presentation.
I have a very specific ask. This is so old that I asked this as new business, I think when you were co-chair of this committee. No fault of yours. On West 74th Street and
I
Riverside
know,
Drive, you know
Fairfax.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
everyone knows there's 4 corners, right? There's 2 on the east side and 2 on the Riverside Park side. 2 of them are curb cut and 2 of them are not, and they are catty cornered or they're on diagonal, which makes no sense to anyone with disabilities, namely my mother who's elderly. So I take her there. It is impossible to go. So what I was told last time from the parks is that it is the Parks Department's responsibility on the park side. It is the Department of Transportation on the
Other side.
east side. But one of them has to get fixed. So right now, the one on the park side, since this is the Parks Committee, is the northbound park side. They all 4 should be curb cut. But I have seen tons of kids with strollers and parents, they have to lift it up. And so, elderly walkers and tons of kids have to get lifted up or bumped up. So that one
Okay.
curb cut should be fixed.
Can we
All 4.
ask Margaret
Yeah.
to take care of
Is
that?
74th and Riverside?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can reach out to.
And
Yeah.
to
it
them
won't be the
and
first
talk
time
specific,
either.
No, I
yeah.
know, because we
I
did
know.
bring in, they acknowledged it, and they may be on schedule.
DOT has a program for doing that. It was a court settlement.
Yes, but well, either side
And
is
there was
fine, but
hundreds of,
the Parks Department is on the
right, I'm
Riverside
saying
responsibility.
parks can't act as quickly as DOT, because DOT actually has funding. The problem on the DOT program is that they have multiple contractors doing the same program, and they don't seem to plan it so that they do ramp.
Right.
They do ramp, block, ramp. So they're building all the ramps, so you can see it up and down West End Avenue, but they don't actually do it so that you can actually go even between blocks. They're just doing it kind of.
So you and me take a pickaxe and we'll do it.
You do the pickaxe, I'm gonna take a jackhammer.
Guys, $500,000, I'll take care of it. No problem.
So,
Just saying, it's not that high of a curve.
Yeah,
I
well,
can actually give you the
that's the DOT side,
Yeah, I
but
know.
if you swing around,
Yeah,
you'll see the
yeah.
Parks.
I can
So
actually
we're
give you the
gonna
contract.
reach out
Yeah.
to, we're gonna reach out to the
What
parks.
corner?
The north side on the park side and the
Yeah.
south side on the,
So
East
if
side.
we just speak to parks
Yeah.
about it, not DOT.
yeah,
We speak to
It's the-
Riverside Park people.
the north curb cut on West 74th
Okay, the
Riverside.
northwest.
Thank
right.
you, nice to meet you.
Appreciate your contributions.
Yes,
Okay, good.
thank you.
All right,
Good night.
is there any other new business?
Oh, well, Samantha, PS 87 is my alma mater too, Samantha.
Oh,
Do we have anything left?
no, and then anybody online that has a hands
Nope.
raised,
Nope.
no, for new business? Okay, so motion to adjourn. Thank you very much for second, all in favor?
Hi.
Thank you. We will see you